Alright, what's going on, everybody? This is the video review of Transformers Combiner Wars Deluxe Class Breakdown, and quite a surprise this guy is to me. I'm actually enjoying him a lot more than I initially thought I would, so let's go ahead and start taking a look at him. Here he is in his vehicle mode, and this is supposed to be a Lamborghini type vehicle mode. It's an off-white, kind of a creamy color, with this nice purple Decepticon logo right here on this red detailing. And then all around the bumper you've got some blue and sorry, I'm going to autofocus. Got some blue and silver detailing and a blue line all the way around the car. On the back there's blue detailing all the way around the other side. On his windshield is painted black, and there's a 15 Racing sticker. It's painted on there, but it looks like a racing sticker. And people were like, what does that mean? Well, I guess 2015? I don't know. He has black windows on the side here. Lots of really cool vents and stuff molded in. His wheels are molded. I don't know if they're molded. They're molded in black, but the rims are painted silver. So he's got, actually he does have smaller wheels in the front and bigger wheels in the back, so it creates a really cool look. He's got the really nice grating back here and the spoiler. His taillights aren't painted, which is kind of a bummer, but the big spoiler looks kind of cool, and I think the blue detailing all around just looks really cool. He's a really neat looking alt mode, and he actually looks like something out of the 80s, which I kind of like. But let's go ahead and compare him. There's Dead End, who's supposed to be like a Ferrari type car. So you can kind of see the different body styles of these guys. You can just see this looks a little more modern, and this looks like a little bit more of a 80s Ferrari, not Ferrari, an 80s Lamborghini. So the headlights I didn't mention. The headlights have this really cool layered 3-tier effect, and they're molded in silver. There's a peg hole on top here, peg hole on the back. But other than that, you can, and actually the rear wheel on Dead End is a little bit bigger than the front wheel. So yeah, so there's that. So there's him and Dead End, and then we'll go ahead and stick drag strip in here, so you can see there how they, he's pretty compact. So let's see, let's stick drag strip there. There's Breakdown, and then there's Dead End. So there's the first 3 cars all together. So that's good. And then we'll stick him in here. Here he is with Motormaster, the truck, so you can see how much bigger he is than, or how much smaller he is rather than Motormaster's truck. They're about the same length. Motormaster's just a little bit longer, but he is quite a bit smaller than the actual truck. And it's too bad Motormaster didn't come with a trailer, because I could see Motormaster hauling all these guys around. Maybe a third-party company will take care of that. But yeah, here in vehicle mode, the wheels don't spin as great because they're those clipped-on wheels, so that's a bummer. On the underside here, you can see a little bit of the robot stuff, only the hands and the kind of center mass here, but everything else is hidden pretty cleanly. Let's go ahead and talk about his weapons. He comes with this sword gun thing. He can hold it either way. He can hold it on this handle, or he can hold it like this. So it can be a sword, or it can be a gun with like this bayonet or whatever on the bottom. Honestly, I like the gun, but it doesn't match because no one else has a gun except for Motormaster. But you're looking at this and this as a gun, and I mean, I don't know. It works better as a sword, I think. But I like the idea of him having a gun better, just maybe because I like the idea of what the gun sword thingy looks like. But anyway, it's got these 2 peg holes, like I said, how we can hold it, and you can peg it in up here, and it doesn't sit in all the way. However, it does have this little square peg right here, and it's actually designed to fit in here on the side of the cutout for the ball joint. So you can stick it on the side of the vehicle, and you can do that on either side, like that. So there's that. And then, so yeah, that's this weapon, and it's black with silver paint. So And then his hand-foot gun is a little bit different from the others. Let me get, what's this? This is drag strips. I don't know how well it's going to come across on camera. Oh yeah, you can totally see it. You can see the top part is kind of molded in a different material. It doesn't really match this bottom part here. It's definitely noticeable to the eye, but the camera's picking it up really well. You can see where this piece totally looks like one big solid piece. You can tell where the two panels meet on this. And I'm not really sure why. You can see the hand and all this under here is this type of plastic, but I don't know why the outer shell is molded in that. It's the only one, as far as I know, that has this type of plastic on it. And it's not that big a deal when you put the 2 feet down side by side. You know, you can tell a little bit, but it's not that big of a deal. But it is a different type of, it has a different feel. It's smoother to the touch, and it just has a kind of a higher quality fit and finish to it. And I don't know what it is. I don't know why they didn't make the whole thing out of it, but whatever. So it has this engine molded in here, and then I can only assume that these are big old exhaust pipes. But, yeah, so there's that. So that's the hand-foot gun, and I unfolded the thumb. But there's something really cool about Breakdown that doesn't happen on any of the other Sunicons, in that this weapon, well, it happens a little bit on off-road, but this weapon integrates into both his vehicle and his robot mode, and it's not just a plug-on thing like on, you know, there. You can plug it on there, but like I said in Drag Strips review, he has this little peg hole on the bottom that allows the gun to plug in right there. But this takes this a step further, and then Dead End doesn't even have any integration. What you do is you can take the gun, the foot gun thingy. You can see there's 2 grooves here on the bottom, and those tab into 2 grooves here on the top of the vehicle. So you do that, well, and then, well, what I usually do first is that lines up, but then there's a groove on the thumb as well. I don't know if you can see that. There it is. It pegs into the back of the spoiler. You can see that little slot there. So it pegs in back there, and then you can kind of angle this, and this pegs on pretty solidly. So you can see there, I mean, it is on there. It's not pegged in just through the one hole. It's actually tabbed in 3 different spots. So it kind of makes it a little more seamless, and it just gives a little bit more bulk to the vehicle mode. And I like the way the thumb kind of wraps around. So it really integrates it into the alt mode. And I really think that's a clever piece of engineering that no other Combiner Wars figure. I have all the aerial bots and all the Stunticons. I just have to film Off-Road's review next. And this is the only one out of all of them that integrates their weapon like this in vehicle mode. And then I'll get to it in robot mode, how he integrates it as well. There's just as many options to integrate it into robot mode. But yeah, that's the vehicle mode. So let's go ahead and transform him and check out the robot mode. His transformation is pretty neat. It's actually similar to Dead End, but there are obviously some differences because it is a different mold entirely. There's a similar structure, but there's a good bit of differences in the way things unfold and, you know, the way certain things happen. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll go ahead and get your finger under here and go ahead and kick this whole windshield back, which is like Dead End. And then you want to come under here, and this whole front section of the car is actually tabbed in to the combiner peg, so that's something that really attests to the vehicle mode. When it tabs in, it tabs all this together very solidly. So you want to untab that and swing all this backwards. And then while we're headed to robot mode, we'll go ahead and flip up the combiner port. Take his little foot gun thingy, and for this, for car mode, you leave the spoiler where it's at. And you just plug it in, the hand-foot gun here at the bottom. And there's his leg mode. It's very similar to Dead End's. What I usually do is I usually flip up this bumper and give him a little bit of a knee, and it kind of sticks out far, but you really can't tell when you're looking at it from the front. But it definitely looks better than just having this big old hunk of mess right here on the front. But anyway, there's his leg mode. Then we'll look at arm mode after we get into the robot mode. So go ahead and flip that back down. Then what you want to do next is you want to come back here, and you want to actually grab underneath the front bumper. This piece pulls out. So then this whole panel folds out from underneath the front of the car, the hood. And so you want to straighten all this stuff out. So now it's straight, and there you can see his head. And then what you want to do is you want to take this, and it's on an accordion joint, and you want to fold it up like that. So I don't know if you saw what happened, but I take it and you fold it up and kind of slide it back a little bit. And you can take this panel here and it flips down. And then that panel is going to actually latch shut here in a second, but I'll go ahead and turn his head around. Then you want to come back here and take the back of the car, and it actually splits like this and untabs from the arms. And the legs, you can see here this piece is all connected. The legs are actually on this really cool joint where they like hinge down at a cool kind of angle. It's a lot like Dead End. Instead of Dead End's legs opened up and flipped down, these just kind of swing out to the side and then come down. So we'll get to that in a minute, but what you want to do first is you want to bring up these arms a click. So they come up, they're on like slight detented joints, so you want to bring them up a click, bring out the arms here. Then you want to peg this whole chest piece, actually tabs down right here and covers over the majority of the combiner port. And then you can take these panels up to the next detent. And the reason you didn't want to do that is because when these panels are all the way up, it locks this whole chest into place. So you can see I'm wiggling it and it won't come loose. So it locks all this into place once those arms are up. So you can see once I pull them down again, this is free to move. But once you click them up here all the way, they fill in a little gap and lock all this chest together, which is actually really smart. So then what you want to do is I go ahead and split the legs, and they're on this cool little joint. The accordion fold out, and there's a couple tabs you want to make sure line up correctly. Actually, there's just one tab, so you just want to make sure all that lines up correctly. Just fold the leg down, so it, let me do it where you can see it a little bit better. Start it out up here, and then you pull it and fold it down, and make sure everything lines up correctly. And there's that. And then you can kind of see on his butt here, they're together like that. And for robot mode, you want to spread out this hinge, which gives his leg, he gives him a little bit of a wider stance. It shortens him down a little bit, but overall it helps the look. It helps his legs not stay close together. You want to flip down the spoiler and the feet, and you can fiddle with him and stand him up. And there we go. There we have, once I get him straight, there we have Breakdown in his robot mode. Alrighty, so here we have Breakdown in his robot mode, and you can see we've gone from a primarily white vehicle to a primarily blue robot with silver detailing and some white accents. When you turn him around, you see a lot of white, but from the front here, there definitely is a lot of blue. We'll go ahead and take a close-up of that face, if I can get him down here. He definitely has one of the neater faces of the bunch. I don't know, it seems very, very neat and boxy, and I don't know, it's got a G1 feel to it. His eyes are actually this weird kind of purple color, but I could see red eyes being a problem on him, but, that's cool. His face is, that red color, and his helmet's blue. But I really do like this whole chest panel while we're close up. I really do like how this whole chest panel just changes the shape of the robot. And it really looks like it belongs there. Just the whole shape of it and the way it all comes together really seamlessly integrates into the shape of the robot, even though it's a false chest, and that's not the way, it's just a panel that flaps down, but it looks like that's the way it's supposed to be. You can hardly tell it's a flap unless you actually look at it from the side. It looks like that's just his chest. So kudos to them on that. You can see, the arms are primarily white. He's got some silver, like I said, silver detailing down here on the foot. The shins are just straight up blue. Not a lot of detailing actually gets revealed here in robot mode. Let's go ahead and look at posability. His head is on a ball joint. He has a ball joint on the elbow or the shoulder with a swivel out, a double jointed elbow because of the transformation. You do get a ball joint down there at the elbow. He has a waist rotation, and you actually get a really cool expressive lean because of that joint. So if you're having him in battle, you can kind of lean him and give him a neat little, I don't know, it's a happy accident. I know a lot of people really don't like this, and I will say you have to fiddle with his waist a little bit more than you would on any of the other ones, but I really enjoy, I can get some really cool poses out of him while messing with that joint, because it just allows him to have a little bit of a lean, and I don't know, it looks good. At the waist, he has a ball joint and a thigh swivel and a 90-degree bend, and the foot hinges up and the spoiler hinges back. So you don't get a lot of foot posability. I find that the ball joints are a little weird to mess with. It feels like they're There might have been not molded perfectly, so it gets stuck in some positions and it's hard to get it out. So it's just something, it's a new toy, and they'll wear down a little bit. But anyway, that's its posability. But now that I've talked about that, let's go ahead and bring in Dead End, and you can see here the similarities. Like I said, you know, the bottom of the car ends up being their legs, and the chest has that, Dead End. The chest has that flap, and the arms were the sides of the car. But, you know, they did it in a different way, and you can definitely see on the back how all the kibble folds up, that Dead End manages his mass just a little bit better, but I don't think Breakdown really, it's a problem, because you can't really tell from the front that it's there, just like on Dead End. So, but there's that, and then we'll go ahead and move these guys out to the side and stick Drag Strip back here, so you can kind of see that. And, you know, Drag Strip's just a totally different. But there's all the first three Stunticons all together, with Breakdown there. So they all look really good together. I like the variety in color. I don't know, I just really like it. It kind of breaks them up a little bit in comparison to the Aerial Bots, who were all pretty similar in color across the board. Here's Motormaster, and I totally did not realize how tall Motormaster was going to be, but I'll pick up the camera. But anyway, there's him standing next to Motormaster, and you can see he comes up to Motormaster's elbow. So definitely looks like a smaller character in comparison to Motormaster. So, and then actually, the reason I wanted to bring him in there is, I don't know if you saw it earlier, but Breakdown is actually, in this angle, it doesn't look like it. He's actually quite a bit shorter. There we go. Now you can see it. He's quite a bit shorter, because I'm laying on his head. He's quite a bit shorter than the other guys. Maybe it's just the angle of the camera, but he does, when he's standing next to them, I have to put him, like when I'm standing them in a row, I have to put Breakdown in the front, because he is just a little bit shorter than the rest of them, and I hate that it's not coming across on camera, but, you know, whatever. But here's his weapon. He can hold it, like I said, he can hold it like the sword, or he can hold it like the really awesome gun. And so there's that. And now let's talk about his hand-foot gun, because this really surprised me when I figured this out. So obviously, you know, he can fold this up, and he can hold it like a regular gun, like all the other weapons. You know, he could hold it and use it. However, I did notice back here, when I was folding all this down, there are two peg holes. There's this smaller peg hole, and then there's the larger one. And so I was like, oh, well, that means this can peg in back here, because I knew on the promo art that he had those guns on his back, and that really does help. It really adds to the look and gives him, you know, but when you turn him to the side, it's sticking out here way far, and it kind of makes him back heavy. So I was a little bummed out. But then I was, you know, kind of playing around with it, and I noticed that there's these grooves on the side of the gun. And so I was thinking, well, I wonder where that goes. What are those grooves for? And you can see here there are two slots on the side of the bumper. And I actually, the reason I found it is because I was looking at it like this, and I noticed that they lined up, like I had it pegged in on his back, and I was like, those grooves line up perfectly. So what I did was I took the gun, and I flipped it like this, made this L shape, and then stuck it in here, and then slid it all the way up. And it leaves a little bit more of a backpack, but it definitely integrates this gun into his back. And you can even kind of take that down, and, you know, you could just kind of play around with it and see which way you wanted to have the gun backpack. But it really helps integrate that into his, and see, it's not even in all the way. So, but you can see it really, like, slides in there good and just integrates that gun into his robot mode. So there's a couple ways you can peg it on. You know, there's the way I showed you before, where you just peg it into that hole, and then there's also the way where you groove it in, and it looks a little more natural, just coming out of the back of this car instead of just a big old hunk pegged onto his backpack. But yeah, I think it looks really good, and that's actually where I leave it in robot mode, is those guns poking up over his shoulders, because it just makes him look a bit more aggressive and makes him stand out, and it helps with that height difference. It kind of gives him a little bit more of a height thing. But that is what I really like. His transformation is cool. It's a lot like Dead End, and it actually has a lot of qualities about Dead End that I really liked. But it also is different, and yeah, it has a little bit of, fair share of quirks, but the way the legs all transform and the way those hips work actually becomes a really happy accident because of the way you can express with him. He gets an extra little bit of posability, and yeah, I've had to fiddle with him, and it's been a little frustrating to get used to the way all this works because this is like the first time I've messed with a Combiner Wars figure that has a specific assembly in the waist. But overall, I think he's done really well. He manages to be his own character, and that's what I really like about the Combiner Wars line, is that they can be similar but also be their own character. And he also gets, the added benefit of having these weapons be integrated into his robot and his vehicle mode. And do I think that they sacrificed his robot mode to make the gimmick of this integrating? Absolutely not. I think this is just a bonus. I think he would have looked this way whether you just, plugged it onto the back or not. I mean, he's really, really good, and actually, as far as I know, playing with all four of the Stunticons, I'm almost positive that makes him my second favorite under Dead End. So that would make put him up there pretty good, close to, I just like the way that all the chest folds down and makes him look a little more solid, and I just like the colors and the weapon integration. He feels a little bit more solid to me than Dragstrip, and I'll talk about Off-Road later because I do have him, but this isn't his review and I don't want to give away too much, but I think he's really good. So let's go ahead and check out his arm mode real quick, and we'll go ahead and end this. So what you want to do is we're going to basically go back to car mode, but leave the legs like this. So you want to take these arms and click them down one detent. So now you can loosen up this chest panel. Then you want to flip this up and straighten all this back out. Bend this to where his face is now facing that panel. All this folds up. Is that right? I hope it's right. Yes, all that is correct. You want to fold up the arms, flip these arms all the way down, and just so you know how this all works, is this panel here clips in right here, so you can see there's his head, and this folds up, and so that's a flat panel, and then this closes down over top it snaps in. So that's how that works. But for the sake of arm mode, you're actually gonna flip this all the way back, my bad. Then you want to take the legs, and you actually want to leave the feet down, and you want to stretch this joint to where the feet are no longer apart. You want to put them back together, reunite the legs to make the lower arm. We'll just flip out this port, turn the waist, and then all this is lined up. And I will say, this whole back panel has a little bit of trouble staying tabbed together, but I think after a little bit of play, it will loosen itself and attach a little bit easier. And you can plug in the hand, or you could, you can play around with it. But for the most part, there's his arm mode, and it looks really good. I really like it. The only thing I don't like is that this screw and all these hinges are, showing, and his elbow just feels really short and stumpy. But it ends up being the same length as the other arms, and all of them are proportionate to one another. We've learned that by now, that even though they look a little different, they'll be proportionate. And but yeah, if you were to ask me what I like him better as, I would say a leg. The arm mode is cool, but as a leg, I think he just works a little bit better than the arm, just because of the way all these jointage pieces are showing. And I really don't like. I like Dead End, but I don't like having this big old hunk of car just to play around with. So I think they work best as legs. So he's definitely gonna be a leg on my Menasor. So, but anyway, that is Breakdown. And yeah, I think you should pick him up. He's a really cool figure. And thank you for viewing this video, and goodbye.